To degree or not to degree? That is the question of many safety professionals, or even those that are considering getting into the safety profession. Does one need a college education where one must invest copious amounts of time and energy and financial resources to attain in order to be a success in this profession? They are considering whether it is noble to invest in copious amounts of financial earnings into an academic endeavor with great hope that it becomes the portal to the safety, the career of one's dreams. If one should attain such an academic achievement, is it worth the decade plus of repayments made to the financial institutions that provide the student loans that one had to take out to cover such an endeavor? As not all of us are not so financially endowed to cover the expenses of higher education out of our own pocket. One must also consider that even after attaining undergraduate or even graduate degrees, the probability of landing one's dream job in safety is not going to immediately take place. You have to get this thing called experience. Please understand that even after attaining said degree or degrees, once in the safety profession, the learning never stops. Should one pursue other safety credentials such as certifications by organizations such as the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, BCSP, or other credential granting organizations, there will always be continuing education and professional development conferences, classes, and courses that one must attend in order to earn the coveted continuing education in order to maintain those credentials. So one must ask oneself, am I that interested? Am I that passionate about this career field to invest in and make the financial, the time, and the other sacrifices required to pursue and attain such an academic endeavor? This is one thing that many professionals must give serious consideration to, and those even considering the profession. That is all for now. Thank you. Hi folks, Doug Neubauer here, host of the Safety Professionals video channel called Safety Heavyweights. The preceding video you just watched was kind of a satirical jab at the higher education system. Now, I'm all for education, educating yourself to be a better person, to be a better member of society. However, some people may be wondering, do I need a college degree to be successful in the safety profession? The answer is it depends, or yes and no. To get started in safety, you don't necessarily need a degree in it. I do recommend that you get some kind of safety training that's documentable, such as an OSHA 10 or an OSHA 30, preferably an OSHA 30 if you're going to go the professional route. Then there's also OSHA 511 and 510, which kind of like OSHA 40 hour, but for general industry and construction industries, and those are actually prerequisites in order to become eventually instructors for the OSHA 10 and 30 credential. But I digress. Starting out, you don't necessarily need a degree, particularly a degree in safety. Now, as I've been watching on LinkedIn and on other job boards, as you go for the higher levels, such as a director or executive level safety position, yes, they kind of are fancying the upper level degrees, masters and above. Doesn't necessarily have to be in safety, though they do say, may say that. Or they're also looking at years of experience behind that. They're also looking at safety credentials from the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, such as the CSP, the ASP, CHST, STSC. And if you want to know what those are, well, I've included a link below to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals, BCSP, and you can look them up yourself and make your own call on what path you might want to go on. As you're going, yes, there are colleges out there that have safety degrees and industrial hygiene degrees, and those are great and wonderful. However, working in the real world, when you come out fresh out of college with a degree like that and you don't have the experience behind you, you're going to have a tough road to climb and to build, because it's about building relationships with the frontline employees in the end. The ones you're actually protecting, the ones that you want to go home at the end of the day, back home to their family and loved ones. so they can do stuff outside of work they like to do. That's our end goal. Now, do you also have to get an advanced degree? Again, it depends. The higher you climb, for some reason in our society in America, we think the more advanced degrees you have, the better off you are. Not necessarily the case, but the employer does know that you are educated and you're able to read and write and are capable of further learning. That's the biggest thing with degrees. Keep in mind, education institutions are businesses. They are in the business of education. That's how they're going to make their money, is from your hard-earned tuition dollars. So just keep that in mind. If I had to do it all over again, I think I would have gone to a community college, learn an applied trade craft, one that's actually in demand in the job marketplace. Go work in that job market for a number of years. And in that time, a lot of the safety degrees, heck, a lot of degrees in period, are actually available online or independent study, and they are accredited. See, I could be working on that while I'm working. Or I can work for a few years, save up the money, and then go back to school and earn a 4-year bachelor's degree or higher. I don't regret getting the education that I have. However, I think, like I said, education institutions and a lot of other things came into play. And for some reason, there's a generation of folks that said, oh, you have a college degree, you're on the fast track to success. Well, they didn't realize that pushing college degrees, and now many, many people have them. And are they really better off? I don't think so. Be teachable? Yes. Be able to communicate? Yes. Do I need college degrees to teach me that? Not necessarily. OSHA has OSHA Training Institute extensions throughout in schools across the country. And you can take those classes, and some of those schools have extra certificates and diplomas that you can earn because you complete so many of those classes. But don't forget, it's more than just the safety skills that you'll need. You need some soft skills too. So I highly recommend, like interpersonal communications, join a Toastmasters club. Develop your public speaking that way. And they have levels that you can achieve as well. I'm involved in one, and it's helped me out tremendously. And I think it does a better job than, from what I can recall from my communication speech class back in college some years ago. And that's just my opinion. Again, like a lot of these things on this channel, they are opinion based. Do the research yourself. Other degrees you can look at, engineering degrees. A lot of engineers get involved in safety because part of the hierarchy of controls is elimination and substitution. And part of that elimination can be done during the design phase. Matter of fact, the American Society of Safety Professionals used to be called the American Society of Safety Engineers. I remember when they made the switch over. So you didn't have to be an engineer to be a safety professional. But that's a good one. The science degrees, especially if you're looking at industrial hygiene. I'll include a link to an organization that does the certification for industrial hygiene as well. I'll include a link to the Board of Certified Safety Professionals. And you can look at all of, because they are probably most recognized credentialing agency for safety professionals, I highly recommend you take a look at them and what they require for each what we call badge on our email notes, on our email signature blocks, but each level of achievement that they have. The highest one you can get, and the most recognized and most prestigious one, is the Certified Safety Professional, which, praise God, I actually earned, but it takes time to get to that point. They have other credentials, so please check them out. I'll include links below to these organizations. So, do you need a college degree? It helps. It's not necessary. I do know people that don't have college degrees but are very competent safety professionals. They educate themselves. They're always learning. And that's the biggest thing, folks. Always be learning. And no matter where you are, if you get interested in safety, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, 50s, it's okay. You can still learn about it, and you can still become involved in it. And if you want, how do I get involved in it at work? Do you have a safety committee? Maybe start there. Go get an OSHA 10-hour, go get an OSHA 30-hour class, depending on your industry. Get your brain going to get into the learning mindset. Learning doesn't always have to come from a formal education institution. I don't know where we got caught up in the wrong about that. Go learn about it. Go learn about the craft that you're trying to be a safety person for. I work for an industrial electrical contract. I've learned a lot just from the guys and gals in the field working in that profession. How the conduit benders work, and how the cable pullers work, and the rigging, and all these other, how they intertwine with other trades and crafts and skill sets that are required. Another important skill set to learn is writing. Please develop a signature so you look professional. I was at a Toastmaster meeting and one lady said one of the biggest concerns she has is that young people today do not know how to sign their name. They can print it all day long, but they don't take the time to sign it as an actual signature because we've gotten too digitized. And don't get me started on AI. It has its purpose, but AI needs to be verified, and you need to be intelligent to verify the AI. So don't get caught up in that mess. So knowing how to communicate, developing interpersonal skills, get involved in a professional network, such as ASSP, American Society of Safety Professionals. They have chapters all over the US. I'm involved in one, and I'm getting ready to step out in faith to take on an officer's position there, just so I can share my experience and start mentoring folks that are coming up in the safety profession. Again, thanks for joining me. Again, most of this information is opinion-based, based on my experiences and experience of others. You can verify it for yourself. Keep in mind, I read an article not too long ago that no matter what degree you get, usually after about 5 years, anywhere from 20 to 60% are not using that degree. They're not working in that profession anymore. So don't get caught up on these things. But hey, I do recommend it and I do highly advise that you be a lifelong learner. It doesn't have to be in formal education as going to a college or university, but do take advantage of education opportunities and networking and learning opportunities such as Toastmasters and ASSP and so forth. So we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for joining me.